You know that song, welcome everybody. That song, it sounds like the band had a few drinks before they played that one tonight.
Yeah, it does. But hey, I had a drink too, so it's
You know,
tea. It's tea, Jason. It's
I
tea.
don't really tell people what I drink in this. And actually, it's coffee. I usually have coffee when I do the show.
And I really
And
do have tea. It's dead body tea. No, I'm just kidding. It's
nice.
tea, sweet tea.
Welcome, everybody. It is Beyond Homicide with
Oh, I like it.
Jason White. Yeah, I've had a lot of good feedback in reference to the name. I love it. I want to welcome everybody here. It's August the 14th, 2026. This is episode 106. And we're really lucky to have tonight's guest, which is going to be Lieutenant Roscoe Voss from the Maury County Sheriff's Office. And he's got a lot of great stories. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love having people from Tennessee on here, Danny. And it wouldn't happen without you, buddy.
Hey.
You know these guys.
Hey, there are a few more going to come on, hopefully, in the future. Some
Well,
pretty
let's
cool
hope.
dudes.
I want to thank everybody for being here. Jan Montgomery Crawford. Appreciate you being here. I'm noticing a lot of other people. Amelia,
New
Phyllis, Steph, Travis from Muskogee. Okie Crime News is in the house. And I got to tell you, I saw a huge uptick in my subscribers. As a matter of fact, we're up to 4,805.
Wow.
I think I had like 30 in the last 2 days. And I think a lot of it has to do with Roscoe. So that's really cool, and I appreciate you guys signing on. If you happen to be in law enforcement, believe me, check out some other episodes. There's a lot of great content that is on this channel, and I appreciate you being here. And I can promise you this, I've made a lot more money in like a overtime shift than I've made in the last 2.5 years, but that's okay, because I actually enjoy this.
Yeah,
I
that's fun.
enjoy this. I'll tell you, something that happened this week that it's kind of something that happened. I'm going to mention a book. Then I'm going to recommend a book that I think it's going to be one. If you haven't read this book, it's Helter Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi, and it's a very, very good book. This is the book I'm going to mention because August the 8th, and technically August the 10th, that's the Manson murders. And so that was just in the news. It's 57 years that 57 years later that this happened. I was just at the La Bianca house in October, and I actually walked through Spawn Ranch back then as well. So kind of cool.
That had to be cool.
It was interesting. My head was on a swivel looking for rattlesnakes, but and I didn't find any, thankfully. But
My sister-in-law almost stepped on one today.
Really?
A 4-foot rattlesnake right outside her back door.
Yeah, that'll get your attention for sure.
Yeah.
Daryl, welcome. Daryl Case. Where are you from? I think I saw your name in a previous episode, but hopefully you guys are going to enjoy tonight's episode, etc. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to mention. There was something else. I will give a shout out to the Tulsa Police Museum. They're actually doing their thing tonight. I was their inaugural speaker. Tonight's going to be my captain, who's Captain Mike Eckert. He's speaking at this event. So if they're local, hopefully they're at that event and they bought a ticket, and that's to support the Tulsa Police Department Museum. That's the one thing I wanted to mention. Danny, on that little animated picture that I put out, I don't know if you paid close attention, but did you read what was on the shirt that you're wearing?
I did not.
Okay. Thanks for paying close attention.
Thanks. Yes, I did. I did look. I did say it. Sorry. The locator?
Yes, the locator 911 bulb.
Yes, I did.
So the locator 911 bulb is you've mentioned before. I'll mention it once again that price, you guys have drastically reduced that price, and that is available. There it is. It's available at a significantly reduced price, and so now I don't know that you really have an excuse for if you're out in the rural area. It's a must buy.
Yeah, everybody look at it. Share the websites that I have up on my TikTok and Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's a life-saving product it'll help us as first responders, especially find you a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's really a good deal. Do what?
Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, I am thrilled.
Doorbell.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. All right. So they like to pick this time to have.
Hey, Jason, I got this in the remember Scars of the Bads. from your Tom Lee.
Yeah.
And it's a really good book.
All right, my grandson just walked in, so that's okay. He'll be quiet. He knows the rules.
Oh yeah,
it's a good book, and that's great. And I want to tell you, let me tell you real quick. I'm going to just mention this. I actually spoke to Vincent Bugliosi. He called me at my house one time, and we talked for like 20 minutes. And the guy is, I think this is the best true crime book in the history of crime books. It may not be all accurate, but it is a really good read. And there's another good read that I'll recommend as well, and that is Will You Die For Me? And that's by Charles Tex Watson. That's one of the other books. And there's another one by Diane Lake, also known as Diane Snake Lake. That's an exceptionally good book, and it's a good read as well. But I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? This week, I actually started my book. I actually started writing it. And so what I did is I basically, and we're going to get to this episode, I promise. But what I ended up doing is there was a guy that is we've had a lot of authors on here. And of course I ask them, I pick their brain about how they did it and what they recommend. And I've heard this from a few people, and it's basically pick a chapter. And if you pick a chapter, I've already got all my chapter names listed out as to what I want to do. And the first chapter it's not going to be chapter 1, but it's the first chapter that I sat down and I started writing. It's my experience when I got hired in the burn center, the 4th largest burn center in the country. And it's kind of fun for me. And it's shocking that I'm able to remember.
Well, that was at a very important time in your life. If you remember, that's when, I know you remember, but Oklahoma City bombing happened during that time.
No, well, actually I was in surgery when that happened, but I'll tell you what kind of one of the pivotal things that happened while I worked there is we had 3 Oklahoma City firefighters that got killed, and it was in March of 1989. And I didn't see the third one. He actually died at the scene, but the other 2. But I'll mention that in the chapter for sure. I'll get into that because it was kind of horrible. But it was. I think that's the last fatalities they've had in Oklahoma City from their fire department. But anyway, it'll be good. I'm telling you, I'm clicking away at this thing, and I'm really kind of impressed myself. The hardest part is to actually just sit down and get started. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Do you think doing chapters at a time I know you've talked to some people about it versus, I guess, a ghostwriter or someone else helping you. It seems to me like it makes sense because that you're remembering back about that time, and that means a lot from your career. What made you who you are today is things that happened years ago. So it does make sense.
It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, I can remember names of the very first burn patient I worked on. And I can remember the names of probably 50 burn patients of the 500 that I worked on.
Oh, wow.
And I was doctor's name, everything, man. And this is back in 1988 when I started there. I started there July the 6th. And so let's get to it. I don't want to keep this guy waiting any longer because he's got a lot to talk about. And I'm excited to have him on here because when you talk to him, and I've talked to him on the phone at great length, and he knows Danny. He's known Danny for years. He knows other people that have been on this show, and it's gonna be fun to have him on, and I'm excited about it. And I want to thank you again, Danny, for bringing him on.
You're welcome.
So Lieutenant Roscoe Voss of the Maury County, am I saying that right? Is it Murray?
It's not like it's written. It's Murray.
Okay, well, it's spelled Maury, but it's
Murray.
I
know, like Maury Povich or whatever, but it's
Maury. Yeah. All right. Maury County, Tennessee Sheriff's Office brings nearly 3 decades of law enforcement experience to Beyond Homicide with yours truly. I love that name. I'm really loving it. It's going to be a book title probably too. With 28 years dedicated to serving Maury County, Lieutenant Voss has built a career defined by leadership, investigative experience, and an unwavering commitment to his community. In 2025, he was honored as the Maury County Sheriff's Office Deputy of the Year for his outstanding service and leadership. Good for you. That's awesome. Lieutenant Voss has served as the leader of the Maury County Detectives Division, overseeing complex investigations and helping lead the department's investigative efforts. He also leads the cold case team, a role that reflects his passion for pursuing answers in cases that have remained unsolved or unresolved for years. And that's going to be interesting to talk to him about. From the challenges of major investigations to the relentless pursuit of justice for victims and their families, Lieutenant Voss has spent nearly 30 years going where the evidence leads. often into some of law enforcement's most difficult and demanding cases. I'm excited to have him here for sure. We'll talk about his cold case efforts, his investigative work, his leadership, and the experiences that have come for nearly 3 decades of him serving the great state of Tennessee. Let's welcome Lieutenant Roscoe Voss to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Listen,
How are
man, I
y'all doing?
appreciate you. Oh, great. I love it. This is his first podcast ever in the history of his life. So, and I love that too, because that's a lot of fun for us. So tell us where you're from and a little bit about yourself and how you ended up getting interested in law enforcement to begin with.
Well, I was born and raised in Maury County, been here my whole life. After I graduated high school, my family farmed, and so I grew up farming. They had public jobs too. So I went to work at the sheriff's department the winter after I graduated, like in the fall after my senior year of high school. I went to work here jailing, and I thought, well, I'll do this for the winter, and then summertime come around, and I'll start back farming. And I kept farming, but I just never left here. So just kind of got to liking it and stuck with it, and here we are almost 30 years later. So.
You went to EMT school too, didn't you, Roscoe? I know you worked on the ambulance for a little while, like part-time.
I did. I went to EMT school. I wasn't real good at it, but I passed the class.
Me too.
If I was hurt, I don't know that I'd want me working on me. So
yeah, likewise.
But I made it through the class. I was working in transport here when I did that. I started jailing, and then I dispatched for a while, and then I went to transportation, where we took inmates to and from court and things of that nature. And that's probably where I learned as much of anything that I've done, because you were dealing with inmates, you were dealing with people in the courts, and you learn how to talk to people, and you also learn kind of what's going on with the court system. And then when I went to patrol, it was a whole lot easier because I already had that foundation that a lot of people didn't get. So,
what kind of jobs have you had through the sheriff's office over the course of the last 30 years?
Well, I started off in corrections, did that for a couple of years. I dispatched for a year, maybe a year and a half. Went to the transportation division, where we handled the movement of inmates, stayed there 5 or 6 years. Went to patrol, and I worked patrol on day shift and night shift both. Worked in criminal warrants for a little while. Then I left. I was a patrol sergeant on nights till I guess about 2012. And I left and came to criminal investigations to get off midnights and get a change of scenery. And then in 2014 or early 2015, I got promoted to lieutenant and went to vice and narcotics for a little while. And then the job in CID as lieutenant over here opened up, and I came back over here. So kind of bounced around the whole place. I've never been an SRO, but that's about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Run for sheriff next. Wasn't there a sheriff named Voss at one time?
there was. When I was a little kid, my great uncle was the sheriff, and I remember him, but as far as him being the sheriff, I barely remember it. I was probably 6 when he retired, so I don't remember a whole lot about those days.
What was really your favorite job thus far? Is it what you're doing now?
I really love patrol. Vice was a blast. But, Vice wasn't the best job for family life. I mean, it was, late nights, early mornings, and just being gone. So I really enjoyed it. But since I've been back in CID and the sheriff wanted to start the cold case unit and things like that, I would retire from right here if they'll let me. So.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that, this cold case unit that you speak of. What are the what's the population of the county that you serve within reason?
When I started here in the 90s, it was probably 60,000, 97. And now in 2026, it's probably 110 or 120,000. So it's doubled in size.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I bet the price has probably tripled too.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Land, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I started working for the sheriff's department, I don't think there was even 40 employees total, and that was secretaries, corrections, dispatch, patrol. That was the whole deal. And now there's probably 220 people, so it's changed a little bit.
Same sheriff the entire time, or?
Been through two sheriffs. Enoch George was here. He hired me and promoted me to deputy and then to sergeant. And then Bucky Rowland, who's currently the sheriff, promoted me to lieutenant. So I've been through two sheriffs, and it would suit me if I don't go through another one. If Bucky just stays here until I can retire. So.
Yeah, he probably will.
Yeah.
So no aspirations for you to actually run for sheriff later in life? Or maybe.
I might. I wouldn't run against,
maybe.
Yeah. I wouldn't run against Bucky. And so, if he says he's going to be the sheriff for another 20 years, then I'm probably not going to run.
Okay.
But, if the timing was right and things look good, I might do it. So just have to see what the temperature is then.
And I always like to ask, I really haven't asked this much, but are you guys hiring currently for deputies?
Yeah, I don't know how many positions we've got open right now. Well, I'm sure we've got a few. So.
Okay. Good to know. So what was it that was kind of going on in your county that got him to thinking about putting together a cold case unit?
Well, we've got several cold cases and several cases that had been brought to the sheriff's attention and they needed to be worked. And before you didn't have the manpower to do it. And so he got to kind of brainstorming, and he decided that there was a way we could do it. So he reached out to Jerry Williams, who was a retired investigator here. And of course, Danny had worked in the forensics field. And so we put together a case, and we ended up, it was, some retired guys like Jerry, some semi-retired guys like Danny, and 2 college students. And so we just put a team together, and we started kind of trying to hammer away at some cases. And it's been a good mix. It's been a good fit.
So how long has that been going on, and have you guys been able to solve any of these cold cases?
Danny, what have we been going, about 3 years?
Yeah, almost 3 years. There was one case, Roscoe, if you don't mind talking a little bit about this case of Jerry Williams, and I was a big part working with him. It's about a 50-year-old case. It was in 1975. Human remains found, and tell them how that got solved.
There, that case, of course, it happened before I was even born. The remains were found and never identified. And so I know that Jerry and Danny got together and started kind of getting the ball rolling on it when Jerry was a detective here. Had some DNA work done. Y'all had a CAT scan, didn't you? Didn't y'all have
we had a CT
recognition done with a CT scan?
It's the first time that our hospital, when Jerry came to me, and that's kind of how I got on that case with him. He said, I really want a CT scan of this skull so that I can get a 3D facial reconstruction done with the CT readings. And he said, there's any way you think you can get that done? And I knew that was my segue into that case because I was really wanting to get in on it. And I called them, and they thought about it. They actually asked if they could call me back. And a couple of days later, I got a phone call that said, yeah, come on, we'd love to try that. We've never done it. And I've got some photos actually of her skull with that red line, in the CT scans, how it crosses. So that's pretty cool, but that's the first time it's ever been done. And I don't think it's been done since.
Yeah. And that was one of those, I really didn't have anything to do with that one. Danny and Jerry got the ball rolling on it. Keith Rather, who's in my office, he kind of picked it up and started working on it, see what he could do with it. And I had just talked to him briefly about it from time to time. I don't even know how long he really worked on it. It was a good while. And I came in one day and he said, I think we figured out who this lady is. And I said, okay. And they had done the genetic genealogy and just done the process that I've done on a few other cases, but he had worked it, and he came in and he had found who he thought it may be, and the lady had never been reported missing. She was out of Chicago. And so I was sitting in there, and Keith picks up the phone and calls who ends up being a sister of the lady. And as soon as he told her who he was and, what he was doing, she goes, I hope you found my sister. And said, well, do you have a sister missing? And she said, yeah. And sure enough, it was her. So,
did she ever say why she didn't report her missing? I mean,
well,
years later?
She was from Chicago, was in an abusive relationship. The boyfriend had left and come to Memphis, and she came with him to Memphis. Quite honestly, I think everywhere they tried to report it, they got the runaround. Well, she's not missing from here, she's missing from there. And and I think her father, before he passed away, had even hired some private investigators to try to figure out what happened to his daughter, and he never found out. So, but
what have you learned? What have you learned since you found out who she was?
Well, I mean,
if you can talk about it. So any of these things, if it's one of those cases that's still being worked, then I don't want to pry.
Oh, that's clear. That case is good to talk about.
I can't recall her name right off the bat. But I know that it was on like a Thursday that Keith made that phone call, and Sunday, me and him got in the truck and went to Chicago and met with the family. There was, I think, 6 siblings that were still alive, and they were all 70 plus, super nice. We met with them and was able to get the DNA from them and get it processed and to confirm it was her. At least they got some closure that way. We feel like we probably know who killed her. She had a boyfriend that was a good bit older than her that was very abusive. And from everything, it sounds like he killed her and dumped her body. Of course, he's been long deceased. So you won't get any prosecution on that end, but at least we're able to get the family the closure before they go,
Yeah. So how do you guys start out? First of all, how many cases do you have in your county that are classified as cold, if you know, that are literally on the shelves?
Probably 18 or 19 that I know of.
Okay.
And then there's some others. Like I got to ask, Jerry asked me last week about one from, I think, 1982. And I don't even know, there's a missing person. I don't even know where any paperwork is on it. So we're going to try to start running it down in the next week or two and see if we can find something out. But
when you pick a case, I mean, what is it that draws you? I mean, what are you looking for to start to really focus your energy on that? And then how do you start with that? What are your procedures as far as what's the roadmap?
Well, what we've done so far, we started off with a case that was a female that's been missing for over 20 years. She went missing as a 16-year-old. And basically, myself, Jerry, Danny, and our college interns, we all sit down and start going over anything we can find. I mean, we just look at the case file from the beginning and start working it and just trying to identify, who did she know? Who was the last person that we know they were seen with? And we meet every week, every other week, and just brainstorm on it to try to figure out what we're going to do next, who we're going to go talk to next. And then we'll go do our interviews, or, if there's some type of DNA we can get testing done on, we do that, or just whatever we think is the next step.
Have the cases been relatively complete? I know you're set on that one. You don't know where anything is, but have you been surprised that there has been some work done on some of these cases?
I've got one case now that I'm working on, and I don't know why it wasn't prosecuted 20 years ago. I'm not sure. And then there's other cases that, I don't know what was originally done on it or where we're at with it. We're just trying to start from the beginning. Let's go through and look and see if there's any evidence that we might be able to get tested for DNA, or
right.
Anybody that we know that they may have been associated with it, we could go talk to, relationships or anything. They're all different. So
yeah, that's what's kind of fun about it. It's every one of them is a different cast of characters, a different story. There are some similarities in a lot of them, but they're all kind of, it's kind of fun jumping back there to a case where it's really challenging because we had a case that we kind of looked at it years and years ago. There was a guy, I'll tell you this briefly. This is kind of interesting. It was July 4th, 2014. And it was, actually the first 48 had just showed up. They didn't have their cameras ready to turn on yet because this would have been epic. But there was a guy that just got off of a motorcycle, walked up to this person in the yard and goes, "Hey man, are you Joe?" And he goes, "I don't know, I'm not Joe." And he goes, "No, man. Hey, yeah, I think you are. You're Joe, right?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, I'm Joe. What's it to you?" And he basically pulled his gun up and shot this guy right in the neck. Broad daylight. He walked from there, cool as a cucumber, and walked to a motorcycle and then just took off. And so this guy ended up killing himself a few days later. We didn't know it at the time. We kind of looked into it. And what we ended up doing is once we tried tracking this guy down, we realized that there was a 1970-something case where the guy that shot this guy, his girlfriend had been abducted, brutally raped, and murdered by likely two people. And he believed that this guy was one of the guys that did it. So he was paying some retribution that many years later. Isn't that crazy? But what was interesting is when we got the case file, and this is what I'm getting at, is that it was like you get typewriters, those letters, they fall off the page.
Yeah.
They just disappear, and we weren't thinking about digitizing evidence back in the day. Think about it. Floppy disk, if those even existed on some of these cases. Cassette tapes, and we find a cassette tape player in the office now, And so have you ran into some of those challenges where some of these, like cassette tapes didn't work or videos were not working or they got eaten when you put them in the player, they start eating it up, and who knows why. I've ran into that too.
Yeah. Or you just find like, Jim Brady, who was a great investigator, he was here when I started. He wrote hand notes. I mean, of course, everything was handwritten then. And, you look at a case file. I was looking at one the other day, and he's probably handwritten 20 pages in a supplement, and it's extremely detailed, but it's faded. It's been in a box somewhere. The ink's faded. It's bled through, and they're hard to read. And so you spend a good bit of time just trying to see what it says. And then there's other cases where, you may have a guy that wasn't real good on his documentation. So he may have done something, but he didn't document it. Or we don't know where that documentation's at. So we don't know where to start with it.
Right.
That's one thing I've really learned since I started working on cold cases was your documentation's everything.
Yeah. Now, do you do this full time? Is this you go to work and this is what's up, or are you still juggling this with another assignment?
So I manage the unit. I'm the unit lieutenant, but I've got two sergeants, Keith Rather and Matthew McDonald, and they run the day-to-day. I mean, Keith probably handles 90% of the problems that come to the unit. I assign cases some, and then they assign the cases out if I'm not here. But working cases, if we have a current homicide, I'll work on it. Or, sometimes I'll pick up some other cases just to get a win along the way. Mm-hmm. But a lot of my time is spent on the cold cases.
How many homicide cases have you actually worked and solved?
I think I've got 7 first-degree murder convictions right now. I've got a couple pending. So you just have to, they're all different, but they're all the same. Like you said, I guess, you always look at motive. The one we just finished up, I guess, is the only one we've got that we don't know the motive for it. So.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to know what's up. When you try to figure out what happened, usually it falls into place as to who is involved, why this would happen, etc. And 95% of people that get killed, It's probably more than 95% actually. It's about 95% is what they say, is that it's somebody that killed him is somebody that knows him for a reason. Yeah. It's very, very rare for a random deal.
Yeah.
But the technology back in those days, what's really exciting, I think, is that back then on these, you said a 1982 case, you said a 1970 something case, back then all they could really tell you is blood type. They weren't thinking DNA. But the beautiful thing is that stuff, if it was packaged, and back then the detective might not have even been wearing gloves, to be real. But if they were, then the stuff was probably packaged in paper, which is a huge benefit to us.
Well, one thing that we found out from back in the 80s and the 70s, that those remains from 1970, we didn't have any pictures. And we went to the archives and was able to find the pictures that were taken by the news reporter. The reporter or the cameraman for the local newspaper would come out and take photographs of the scene for the investigators. Because the sheriff's department didn't have cameras. I mean, they were expensive. So,
wow,
that's
interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that goes to show you how important it is to get those first photographs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but let me ask you, where were they all those years? They were just with the photographer that he just kind of kept them in his stuff, or did he turn them over to the police back then?
Well, we didn't have any copies of it here. There was a photographer that was with, I think it was the Daily Herald here in town for years. He probably worked for him 50 years. And he took pictures. I mean, you might have pictures of a murder scene, and then the next roll of pictures he has is from the high school basketball game. But when he passed away, his family turned a lot of his films and everything over to the archives. And luckily the archives had preserved them. So we were able to go and find some pictures from that.
Well, that archives, talk a little bit about that, Roscoe. The archives, where is that building used to be the sheriff's department?
Yeah, so where the archives is now used to be the jail.
Jail. Yeah.
And of course, it's been added on to and remodeled. When I started working for the sheriff's department, we were in the old jail.
Yeah.
One of the worst mass fatality incidents happened there in Tennessee's history.
Well, what was it? What was that?
I believe it was 1977 or 1978. The jail caught fire, killed about 50 people.
Wow.
It was visitation day on a Sunday, and there was a 17-year-old that was being housed in one of the drunk tanks or a padded cell. And somebody gave him a cigarette, and he set the padding on fire. And when that fire started smoking, it caused a bunch of toxic gases that killed a lot of people because it got black in there so quick from the smoke getting down to the floor that people couldn't see to get out. Our sheriff now, the current sheriff in Maury County, his parents were there that day. So he lost his mom and his dad both.
Oh my gosh.
And a lot of other family members in that fire. So,
wow. I don't even remember hearing about this. Danny, you've never even mentioned this to me.
I know I have, but you weren't listening. No, I'm just kidding.
Probably not.
But look at it, write it down, look it up. There's some good history on it, and it's one of the worst mass fatalities in Tennessee's history, dating back to the Civil War. It was a big deal, and that building is still there, and that's now the archives, right, Roscoe?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes. They've built on and added on, and of course remodeled a lot. So they've got some pretty neat stuff down there now. So.
Of course, the guy that set this fire, I'm sure he perished in the fire as well, right?
He actually survived.
What?
He survived. He was a juvenile. I don't know if he's still alive or where he's at now. He was from out of town, so he was just passing through and somehow ended up in Maury County.
I mean, I would assume. Did he? I know he was. You said he was a juvenile at the time.
Yeah.
Did he go to prison for this? If you know,
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, that's something to look up. I'm curious now. That's interesting.
From what I remember, he did, but he didn't spend a lot of time. He got out not long after that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. So I want to mention this real quick. We've talked briefly. I was kind of sharing some things with Roscoe in reference to the MVAC and things like that. We've talked about the MVAC, I think, last week. Artificial intelligence, that's starting to put a footprint on some of these cold cases. And what it's doing is you stick your whole case file in it, all the interviews, all the, we're not using this at Tulsa, but one day I think it's going to be the standard. I really do. I think that it's going to allow, because, it's hard for one person to work on 500 cases that are in your cold case room. You know what I mean? So it gives them, if they just import this stuff and you give it to them to import it all, it tells you where inconsistencies are in stories. and who the likely suspect is, etc.
So we've in the last couple of years we've added an intelligence unit, which we didn't have, and so it's been kind of a figuring out which direction you're going to go with it. A retired, actually, assistant chief from Columbia, who worked in CID the first time I came to CID, so we had worked together, and he retired as the assistant chief at Columbia. We hired him a year and a half ago, and so he has spent a lot of time messing with artificial intelligence and, putting case files in it. And it's amazing. It'll pop out something that you look at, and when it shows it to you, you're like, well, that should be obvious. But you're looking at, 2,000 pages by hand, you might miss a small detail that really stands out to the AI program.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I'm really excited to see how that ends up turning up. Working on some of these cases.
What blows my mind is how you can put information. I won't dig too deep into it, but how you can put phone record information in there, and AI can actually make it to where you can visually see. Otherwise, you're reading a report. This one called, this one text.
Yeah.
But you can actually put it on a graph, and it'll show where they are and their movement, and that's amazing to me.
It is amazing because otherwise it's like reading Russian. Trust me, it's very difficult. So let's talk a little bit about this this case that you had a huge victory, death penalty case. Tell us about this case. You said you're able to speak on it, so I'm curious because that's something I've never even had.
We had a case happened 5 years ago. For whatever reason, and this one we don't really know the motive, but this guy, he was 22 or so, and he ended up killing his mom, his sister, and his brother in the house. Don't know why he did it, but it was brutal. Tried to kill the stepfather, but the stepfather was able to climb out a window and run. And so he got away and called us. We all got in, and within, I guess, 3 hours of getting the original call, we were able to coordinate and get him in custody over towards Mont Eagle. So, but that was one of them where, the call came in. We went to the house. We thought he might still be in the house when we got there, so we went in. He wasn't there. The sheriff came out. All of our investigative unit came out. The vice and narcotics guys came out and helped, and everybody just worked together. And I don't know, good work or good fortune or whatever it was, we were able to get the guy caught. I believe he was fully headed somewhere else to commit some mass violence. We just don't know where he was going.
What made you think that?
He had loads of ammunition in the vehicle. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. He had a ballistic shield, ballistic helmets, plate carriers with ceramic plates in them. I mean, he was ready to do something big. We just don't know what it was. So, and fortunately, he didn't make it. They got him stopped and got him in custody before he was able to do that. So,
did he talk?
Very little. When the sheriff and the captain brought him into our office for an interview, he said it was self-defense. It's hard to claim self-defense when you shoot an 11-year-old girl in bed, but that was the only statement we ever got out of him. So,
yeah. And this is pretty fresh, but one day maybe you can go talk to him down the line. I've got a list of people I would love to went back and talk to, especially when their appeals get exhausted, etc.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day with some other cases I had. I'd gotten to looking at where somebody's in jail or in prison since 2018, serving a life sentence. It's like I'd like to see what they say.
Yeah, right.
Now 8 years removed from it, what do they say about it?
Yeah, well, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? They say nothing. You're already got that. What do you got to lose? I always kind of thought that it would be kind of interesting just to almost like on a calendar. Okay, we're going to go talk to this guy in 2 years from now. Let's start researching to what questions so we can maybe. And by the way, when you go interview somebody in prison, you don't have to necessarily read them their rights, even though they're in prison. That's something that I had learned a few years ago. I didn't realize that. But because that's their home, it's their normal. As long as they don't come in there shackled and, belly chains and they can't move and they can't get up, you can really just kind of have a conversation with him. It's kind of interesting. So what was it about this guy that, I mean, what was going on with him? What made him do all of this craziness?
We just don't know. We could dig and try to find a motive. There's a book series out called The Death Note, which is like is it Japanese manga? It's a pretty violent book if you read, and reading it, some of the stuff he did, it goes back to that. But was that his motivation? I don't know. What was his final motivation? And we'll never know unless he tells somebody down the road. But
where's Tennessee's death row?
River Bend in Nashville.
Nashville.
In fact, they actually executed somebody yesterday up there.
Yep. So, and they got a woman on it now for be the first woman in Tennessee's history.
Yeah.
To be put to death, and that's coming up next month.
Really? What'd she do?
She killed. I'm trying to think. You remember Roscoe had killed another woman?
It was
brutally
pretty violent. I'm not sure I'm not sure all the details, but it was pretty rough. It was up around Knoxville, Knox County, somewhere up there.
Yeah, some people need to go.
Where is Parker Elliott housed?
What's the case first?
All right. Well, that's kind of how I'm going to segue into it.
Oh, then
where's he housed? And
he's in TDOC. I'm not sure exactly where he is at now.
Okay,
in TDOC.
So Parker Elliott is kind of how Roscoe and I met many years ago, 2004.
Yeah,
June the 24th to be exact. My daughter was in high school in the band, and one of her best friends was also in the band, and we would have to travel to like band competitions a couple of hours away, and we would give them a ride, her mom and her. And one day we got this horrible news that her daddy had murdered her and her mom, and her brother tried to murder her brother, but he got away. But and to see the I guess the hurt in my daughter's face and how she responded to that, and I knew the guy got away. He ran away. I think he was gone a week, maybe wrong. But the manhunt was on. Shane Petty, the guy we had on here, park ranger, he was involved. Roscoe was involved in a lot more. But Roscoe was part of the crew that helped catch him. And I'd like for Roscoe, if you don't mind, telling and how Roscoe and how you were also connected to this family as well as I was.
Yeah, so my parents had met the Elliott family. They'd actually started going to church together after Frida had divorced from Parker. Frida started going to church where my parents go, and of course the kids. And so my mom and Frida had become friends. And they had finally gotten them a house. They'd bought a house probably 2 or 3 weeks before he killed them. And we had helped them move into that house. I mean, move furniture in, helped them get set up. And
wow.
Then Parker came in and kicked the door in, and he tried to kill all 3 of them. His son survived. He shot him several times, but he was able to survive it.
Amanda, I think you've got a picture of him. It's that male and the news footage. Yep, there he is.
That's him. You don't have that 911 tape. I wish we could have got it, but tell them what that 911.
It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible. She was, trying to get help. She was on the phone trying to hide in the house from him, and he was he was there on a mission, and he was going to do what he was going to do. So, they tried that case as a death penalty case, but he didn't get the death penalty. He got life without parole. So, but that's the case. I was actually still in transport. I wasn't even on the road at the time, but due to the nature of it, the sheriff had all of us down there, looking for him. And Of course, our SWAT team was down there. Shane Petty was down there with the dog. THP had helicopters. I mean, it was a big event. And it seems like there for probably 3 days, seems like 100 yards behind him. He'd get spotted. We'd go down there and he'd be gone. And we got a call that he was down. I believe it was on Smith Hollow Road. And we got down there and Shane was with me. I think Shane had actually put his bloodhound into my car in the back seat. And we pulled up there to the gate, and Shane got the dog out, and he said, let me go ahead of you a little bit and see if the dog will pick up a scent. And so there were some other guys that were pulling up. I mean, it was a bunch of us that pulled up. Shane went around the corner there, and I remember the helicopter was just loud because it was right overhead. And it turns out probably the reason that we didn't get in a shootout with Parker Elliott is because he was looking at the helicopter. I mean, I don't think he had any intention on going alive, but the helicopter had him distracted. And, you know, Shane's like me. He grew up around cattle and around the farm. And, you know, as Parker's watching the helicopter, the cows are across the field and they're watching Parker. And so they start acting strange, and Shane sees the cattle acting different, and then he realizes what they're seeing, and that's how he was spotted. Shane spotted him that way. And, you know, with the noise of the helicopter and the trees and the woods, we just got on top of him before he knew we were there. So it was probably.
By the way, Shane Petty is a legendary game warden where he was. No, park ranger.
No. He was a park ranger.
Park ranger. My mistake. Not
Chief park ranger.
Chief park ranger. He was the big wig, and he was episode number 75. So if you want to catch that, go back to episode number 75 for Shane Petty. He said that he's taught you everything that you know, and I think you said, what did you say back to that?
He was my law enforcement hero. And then he retired, and that was fine. But then he came back working at EMA. I mean, he's like a fireman now, so he's not my hero anymore.
Yeah, but you also said it probably took 5 or 6 minutes to
do what?
You had said earlier, you're like, yeah, that probably took about 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah. He taught me everything I know. It was a short conversation. So, no,
He's good people.
Shane, we have spent a many hour together chasing his dog around in the woods. So.
Yeah, and he still does that. And I'm like, man, you need to be really careful because, golly, it's just, you know, one crazy moment away. I mean, it could, and he should be retired and enjoying life, but he can't help it.
He's not real good. He's not real good at retirement. I mean, he's just not. He's tried it. It didn't work. So I guess he's just going to keep working now.
How long was Parker Elliott on the run? Was it a week?
Yeah, a week, 10 days, something like that.
And where he's talking about it's like in the middle of nowhere in the wooded area, just way out. And I know whenever the news broke, it was like a big cheer around here.
Oh,
You know, the look in my daughter's face and how happy she was to know that these guys. So Roscoe and Shane both were my heroes then. You know, absolutely.
There was a lot of people involved with that. Yeah. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got bit by a rattlesnake. And that's right. A miracle down there where he was at. So
really?
Oh yeah.
It is.
So there's a lot of them down there.
Yeah.
You know, I told you my sister-in-law, that's where she lives. I told you she walked up on that 4-foot rattler today. Yeah. And she lives just about a mile from there.
Yeah. No bueno. Where I grew up in California, man, it was thick with them. And I'm not a big fan. I don't know. Hey, Todd Fox, I don't know what 250 joules means, but I want to thank you. I really don't know what that means, but it means something, and I appreciate it. So
electric chair.
I want to thank you for that. Gabathina. I don't know that I've seen you in here. These may be some of those names that you speak of, Roscoe, that their name might not actually be Gabathina.
Yeah, they changed their names.
I was hoping to fly under the radar with this because the guys in my office found out and they started they were all signing up and I know one of them I think had signed up as not Bucky Rowland or something like that. So I was afraid what might get said tonight, but I think they've behaved pretty well.
No, it's been pretty tame over here in the chat room. It's been nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 106. Just to remind you, Lieutenant Roscoe Voss from the Maury County Sheriff's Office. What was the reasoning behind you becoming the Deputy of the Year? What happened that led to that?
I guess everybody else failed the test. I don't know. Just
good fortune, I guess. One candidate. No, I'm just kidding.
What did they? I'm sure they read something. Was it about this case that we're speaking about?
The
one about the death penalty?
No, it was. I really don't know. I guess luckily the sheriff and the command staff thought good of me, so gave me an award, and I appreciate it.
So are you going to stick around? And all right, so you've been in law enforcement for 30 years, roughly, right?
Yeah, 29. So
I've been in it for 28. How many more years do you plan on doing this? And what is some stuff that's unfinished, or what are your plans for the future?
Oh, I don't know. I had said at one time that I'd run for sheriff, maybe one day. And Bucky ran and he won, and I wouldn't dare run against Bucky. He's a little bit older than me, but he doesn't have quite as many years in as I do. He's close. And so, if in 4 years, if he said he wasn't going to run, I might consider it. But honestly, if he would stay here another 15 or 20 years, and I'd just stay here and work till he retires, and I guess one day I'll get sick of it and go do something else, but I enjoy it right now. I've got a good boss, got a good job. And
did you just say you'd stick around another 15 years?
I might. Hey,
wow.
That tells you how good a sheriff we got too,
Oh yeah. It's a great place to work. And I tell you, the job that I've got now, I talk to people and they're like, I read these, I watch these shows about cold cases and about, Snapped and things like that. And they read these books. I was like, that's what I'm doing for a living. I mean,
yeah, it's excellent.
It's a great job. And I'm sure that one day it's going to be where, I've had enough, but if it stays like it is right now, I'd like to solve several more cases.
Absolutely. And if you have one that needs a lot of money spent on it, then I'll get you in touch with Steve Spagnola and you can be on Cold Justice and they'll pay for it. So,
oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, I asked Steve that. I said, hey man, how is it getting cases and stuff? Have you guys ever considered that on any of these other cold cases? Just because, a lot of this DNA stuff costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And that's a big hesitation for a lot of people. Have you ever considered even exploring?
I haven't that. We got a grant through Seasons of Justice, and they paid for some, we had some DNA work done on a case, one of the cold cases we're working, and we thought we were going to have some success with it, and we may still. We're working it, but it has kind of it's slowed down on us at the moment. The genetic genealogy stuff it's hard to. It's like days you come in here and everything just flows perfect, and you run right through it. And there's days I might as well be reading Spanish. So,
yeah, no, true. To go back to that female you said's about ready to get executed, it's Krista Gail Pike.
Yeah.
She's born in 1976 and is the only woman currently on Tennessee's death row. Scheduled for execution September the 30th, so right around the corner of 2026. At age 18, she murdered the youngest woman. She murdered her classmate, Colleen Slimmer, in 1995, becoming the youngest woman sentenced to death in the modern era. If carried out, this will be the first execution of a woman in Tennessee in over 2 centuries. Interesting. And she spent 30 years in prison, incarcerated, with most of the recent years ending de facto solitary confinement following a 2024 settlement that allows for limited socialization and work. I don't know really what that means. Maybe you do. She is currently challenging the state's lethal injection protocol in court. Well, I guess we can.
They just botched an execution. What, Roscoe? 2 months ago.
What do you mean?
Yeah. They couldn't get an IV on this guy.
Uh-huh.
And they botched. So she's looking back at this as part of of what
Sure.
they're going at.
Well, I mean, you can dust off old Sparky, and
Yeah.
I think that she would be running for that needle, and that's just my thought. Nevertheless,
I don't know. That's not
It's a-
much of a choice. Take a shot or get electrocuted. The result's the same at the end, anyways. So.
you can stick me like a pin cushion before I'm wanting to sit in that chair. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
no doubt about that. And I'm not interested in any of the other forms. You know, Oklahoma's got more forms of death penalty still on the books than any other state in this country.
Really?
And yeah, we're number 3 as far as executing people. So I'm supportive of it when it needs to happen, and some people need it.
How
But,
does that work? Can they choose how they want to be executed?
Even though they've got like 4 other methods on the books, from firing squad to hanging. I think the last hanging in this country was Dick Hickok and Perry Smith from the In Cold Blood Truman Capote book in Kansas. So I know that in some states, Washington State and Utah, they can Gary Gilmore was just a little history for the people that are listening here. They stopped the death penalty in 1972. It's a case called Georgia versus Furman. And the reason why is because they said that the death penalty was cruel and unusual punishment. And so what happened was that Utah, that they did that in 1972, and they stopped it. And if you were on death row anywhere in the country, and this is what makes this interesting, is it goes back to the Manson family, because they were sentenced to death. And then because of Georgia versus Furman, they commuted everybody's sentence from death to life with the possibility of parole of everybody that was on death row back then in 1972. And then in Utah, there's a guy by the name of Gary Gilmore. There's a book, or probably a book and a movie. It's called The Executioner's Song. And Gary Gilmore, Utah said, "Yeah, I don't think we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna kill him." And so they ended up doing that, and and Gary Gilmore got executed by firing squad. And so Utah is one of the few states that actually does firing squad still to this day. But you can opt for that. I think in Washington State you can choose the firing squad or lethal injection, and there's some guy up there that actually wanted that as opposed to the needle. But I don't know. I don't know how they are I don't really call it the one that they had a botched execution somewhat in Oklahoma. They call it a botched. It still succeeded. It's just they had to stick them a couple of times, so they're making a big deal out of it. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I have a feeling that they're probably going to do away with it in our lifetime, if truth be known.
And they should give the family a choice to let them do it however they want to do it. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe. It's a hot button issue. I know some people are probably not for it, but what are you going to say, Roscoe?
It's like, and it's the same thing. I think that I've had 6 cases where they got life without parole. And it's good. That's what they deserved, and that's what they needed. But when you're standing there in a room, and the jury comes back and sentences them to life without parole or the death penalty, it's not like you're jumping up and down for joy because it's great. I mean, you're basically looking at a man that his life is over, and it's sad. No, they deserve what they get, and so it is what it is. But
there's just some people that don't need to be here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're evil to the core.
Yeah.
Flush them.
Yeah. And you see, I mean, some of the stuff this guy did, when you see it, it's horrible.
Yeah, you didn't get into it here, but it's something worthy of looking into. Travis from Muskogee PD, he put in here, thanks for throwing that up here, Travis. In reference to Oklahoma and death penalty, he said that it was a sequence of alternatives, lethal injection, nitrogen hypoxia. That's probably going to be the gas chamber, electrocution, and firing squad. So those are your choices. And
was hanging on there? Did I miss that?
I think he might have missed it. I'm pretty sure hanging is one of them as well. I've read that somewhere.
It is in Tennessee. Hanging is part of his choice.
Really, still to this day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Tennessee now, it's lethal injection. If you were sentenced before a certain year, I think you can still choose the electric chair. But other than that, anything after a certain year is lethal injection, and that's the only option there is. Yeah,
I've seen Faces of Death, and I've seen the electric chair in use on that movie. Do you remember that, Roscoe? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's a no-go for me ever.
Yeah. Well,
that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know how you make that decision if they sit down and say, "Do you want to die this way or this way?" It's not a good choice either way. So
No, but the needle's like going and getting a procedure in surgery. So it's,
oh yeah.
If they can't get an IV, you can do what they call interosseous infusion. It's where they do a needle into the bone just below the knee, and there are people that do it conscious. I mean, there is some pain, but you put a numbing agent on it. So I don't understand why they don't use it instead. It's a whole lot easier.
But I don't understand the last meal. I mean, if I knew you were getting ready to execute me, I don't know that anything sounds good to eat. So
yeah, and I think they've kind of I know in Oklahoma, I think they've kind of reeled back on that a little bit. Where I mean, they're not gonna. There's some limits. I believe. Yeah,
they still do it here, but it's like a $40 or $45 limit, and it's got to be within reason. Like they're not going to drive to, Atlanta, Georgia to pick you up something you want. So
no, you're not getting lobsters from Maine shipped fresh.
Hopefully I don't ever have to make that decision or get in that situation.
No.
Travis, you're full of information. My gosh, he tells me that hanging stopped in Oklahoma in 1915. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
I'm probably wrong about here, but that's what I heard yesterday. Of course, it's a hearsay, so who knows what's real.
Yeah, I don't even know what I would pick if I don't know, but I don't know, but interesting stuff. I'll tell you, is there any other cases that you want to talk about that before we get off here? Because I'm sure you, what do you got going on? I mean, any other cases?
Too, that we're really working on now is we've got Amber Cates. She went missing in 2004. And then I've got another one, Jaden Carpenter. She went, was it 2022, Danny?
Yeah.
And both of them, they're kind of similar, but they're different. But they both just disappeared. Just nobody knows where they're at or what happened. And so, we're going back and trying to retrace, any last steps that we know of, anywhere they might have been, anybody they might have ever talked to. With Amber, you don't have phone records or anything like that are very reliable. So, we go through and any pictures the family's got, if we see anybody on there that we don't know, we go ask them, people used to take Polaroids and they'd be at a party somewhere hanging out. And they'd take a Polaroid Polaroid picture of like 4 people. And so, we try to figure out who the other 3 people are and see if we can go talk to them. Maybe somebody will know something.
Yeah, when you get an old case like that too, what I've seen is that you have a lot of people die. That's could be a suspect or could know something, and you really kind of get your hopes up, and the next thing you know, they either passed away a few years ago or just passed away.
Yeah, isn't that usually the way it happens? It just makes you sick. I'll tell you something. I don't know if you're doing this at all. Go ahead, Roscoe. I'll tell you something.
You think you're on a hot lead. Like we'll sit down in a meeting and you'll see something. You'll be like, we need to go talk to this person. And so I'll go out to talk to them and you find out that, they passed away 2 years ago or 6 months ago or whatever. So then you're back to square one again. So
yeah. Archie's asking something about, have you found some one-armed man? I'm thinking that there's something to that.
Oh, it ain't no telling. That's my brother-in-law, so there's no telling what he's doing.
So
it may be best we don't know.
Yeah.
Golly, you were saying something, and I had something in my brain I was going to mention. I'll tell you something that you really I think it might be worthy of considering, at least on some of these cold cases, is putting out like a 3-minute Facebook post and like doing it at the scene of where this person might have been found or the killing or whatever. I tried doing that here in Tulsa, and it kind of got I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I think it should be happening on a lot of these cases. Not inundating them with like one a week or maybe one every few months, just to kind of get it in the news again, and families love it, and it's like doing a canvas to like 20,000 people. And it's surprising when you bring something up on these cases. All it takes sometimes is one tip. That's all it takes to get things rolling. And so if you know of anything if you happen to be listening to this, and I don't know if you would be or not, but if you are and you're tuning in on this, I know I hashtagged to your state. And if you happen to be listening to this, you know something about a cold case, not just this case or any case in that state, reach out to the guy that's working cold case, because you never know. It might be insignificant to you, but it could be really it could move mountains really for the detectives. So don't hesitate.
Yeah, my one of my captains is wanting me to talk about my navigation skills.
Oh, is that a little bit challenging for you?
Well, so somehow me and the sheriff have ended up all over the country over the last several years. We've been to Michigan, Oklahoma, Indiana, Texas, all working on cases. North Carolina. So we end up somehow, and there's several times that we'll be working a case and realize, hey, we need to talk to somebody in Michigan. And so 30 minutes later, we're just in the truck riding to Michigan. And we've had great success like that. But I always sit in the passenger seat, because he wants to drive. So I sit in the passenger seat and kick my feet off or kick my shoes off and just play TikToks or do whatever, to make the time go by. And we were going to West Tennessee. It's been 6 months ago, something like that. We were actually working on a cold case. And he was driving, and we're going down I-40, and we get to the exit we usually get off at, and he just keeps driving. So I thought, well, he's going to go a different way because he likes to take a different path every time you go somewhere, which I do too. So we ride on a little bit. Well, then we get to Jackson. And so when we get to Jackson, like we've gone past where we're going, but you could go up from Jackson and go back north that way off I-40. So we get to Jackson, and he just blows on by the Jackson exit. So I thought, well, I guess we're going to Memphis to find lunch because he's done missed the turn. And I didn't say anything. And we get about 15 miles more down the road, and he says, hey, what's our exit number? I said, 108. He sat there a minute. He said, 108. He said, that's exit 72. I said, yeah, you missed it. So I thought the chief deputy was about to come pick me up because I thought he was going to fire me on the spot, but he didn't. So. But I don't give directions anymore. So
somebody's asking about some body found in Roscoe's truck. Kenneth.
No.
What's up with that?
We got a call one day of a deceased body in the creek. And so the sheriff happened to be close to it when it came out. So I pulled up a minute or two after him. Well, it wasn't a body. It was a adult toy that had been thrown off the creek bridge. And it looked like a dead body in the creek.
Oh, like a blow-up doll.
Yeah, but it was more sophisticated than that. And I was the only one that had a truck bed cover over the bed of my truck. So it got thrown in the bed of my truck. And we found out a few days later after it dried out, because it just stayed in the bed of the truck for a few weeks, that it had a voice on it. And once it dried out and the computer started working, you could hit a bump and she'd start talking to you in the back. So.
Oh my gosh.
No! Wow.
They're that sophisticated, huh?
It was very sophisticated. So.
Did it look realistic?
Oh, it was scary real. So yeah, it ended up making a few guest appearances.
Wow, that's crazy. Did you guys do some familial DNA off the DNA recovered from this?
Absolutely not.
You use the MVAC on it.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know why it ended up in the creek, but it got called into us as a deceased person, and then we got there and it wasn't. So,
wow, I've never heard that ever in my career. That's funny.
If it could happen to somebody, it'll happen to me. So.
Well, listen, I hope you've enjoyed your time here on your very first podcast in the history of your life. We've enjoyed having you. I'll tell you what, it's been a lot of fun. 30 years goes by quick, does it not?
It does. It seems like I just started yesterday. And then other times you're like, man, I've been here forever.
Yeah.
But
I tell you what, nothing beats it if you really are enjoying where you're at. I mean, that makes it epic.
It does.
And so, do you have any? And then lastly, do you have any possibilities of maybe promoting even higher?
Like I said, if the sheriff was to decide he was going to retire, then maybe. But other than that, I am pretty happy where I'm at. So
okay.
I feel like I've got the best job here, and so why give it up?
Of course. Danny, what do you got? Anything you want to add to this tonight?
I think we hit it, especially talking about the cold case team. And I know we didn't really talk about it much, but the two of the other people that we have on there, that's absolutely different from all of us, is two college students. And sheriff's thinking on that is to just get someone just way off base in the way we look at things. They can look at it and see things differently.
Yeah.
They're both were in like let's go like a criminal justice or something like in the law field.
And one thing that we've ended up with, not only just a ton of insight, we've got people on the cold case team from 70 to 20, and so it's a huge range, and everybody sees stuff different. But it's been great. But since we started that cold case team, one of the college students that was with us, she's in law school now, and she's going to be great. And the other one, she's finishing up her master's degree, but she's actually working for us now.
Oh, great.
She got hired on. She finished up her bachelor's degree and got hired on full time. She just graduated the academy, and she's finishing up her master's degree. And I hope she's going to end up back in our office working in investigations at some point, because she's got the skill level, she's got the intelligence to do it. So why not? So.
Yeah, a lot happened in the last 3 years. With those guys. And they were a big help too. How they can maneuver social media, like they do it a lot better than I can, and know how to go in and see, track down friends of friends or suspects or someone we need to talk to, and how they can just do that is amazing to me.
Jason, we were talking to a high school kid today about something, and they got to talking about social media, and of course, social media is like every high schooler's got it, but it's not Facebook. Apparently, that's for old people. I said something about Facebook, and they looked at me. This person looked at me like, "No, I don't have Facebook." Now, she had three other social media accounts that I didn't know of. But
what were they? What were they? Twitch was probably one of them. I don't know much about that. I've heard of it.
I don't remember. Twitch, X, I don't remember what they were, but
TikTok.
Yeah.
We need to get you a TikTok page, Roscoe, after this.
I've got a TikTok page.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't post a lot on it. I post every now and then. It's all stuff from the farm, videos of cows, or my kids running equipment or something like that. So,
all right, that's cool. I love it. So you got a ranch. That's cool. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I want to thank Roscoe for basically, and I don't mean any disrespect. I know you're a big wig. You're a lieutenant, but I'll just call you Roscoe here. But I want to thank you for on short notice. I wasn't even going to do an episode tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what I was going to do. I just didn't have one. I kind of didn't have one planned, or I had one planned. It wasn't working out. Who knows what? And then I was like, what? Maybe I'll just take the night off. But then I thought, Danny goes, "Hey, let's have Roscoe on." And I was like, perfect. Let's do it. If he'll do it, we'll do it. And I'm glad he did come on here. Feel free to share this with everybody. And I'm going to give you the link tonight. It was going live tonight on my Facebook page, my YouTube page. Amanda, throw up my other, the QR codes. I've got Instagram. You can go to my DET Jason White on Instagram page. I just threw that out there to her. We'll see. There she is Amanda on the spot. Well done. All the way up in Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada. But you can follow me on Instagram, and you can also follow me on TikTok. And my TikTok, man, I get
Jason,
a lot of.
I'll tell you this: my son's 7, my son's 10, my daughter's 7, and they found out I was doing this tonight, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever because you've been on TV, and they think that's great. So they're like,
"It's a big deal, Roscoe.
It is.
You're a big deal.
You're a huge deal.
Yes, I am. And I'm going to tell you. No,
I'll
tell you what, it is fun to have you on. Do what?
Yeah. I just hope I still got a job after this.
Yeah, I think you're going to be just fine. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you, Roscoe. I really do. I think you were great.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
You are welcome anytime in the future. If you got some big case that you want to talk about down the line, or some huge something, feel free to come on back. And thank you, Danny, for being here. Remember,
Yes, sir.
ladies and gentlemen, buy the Locator 911 light bulb if you're looking for something special to give your elderly loved one.
Does Amanda have that commercial? Do you have it, Amanda?
Well, I don't know. That might be hard for her.
There you go.
Perfect.
Holiday.
Commercial or late?
Yeah, Christmas will be here before you know it. I'll tell you what, I'm ready for this heat wave to just kind of break just a little bit. I love the heat and I hate the cold. I hate the cold, but I'm kind of just done.
Cold would be good right now.
It would be. I'm ready for a little bit of a change.
Or a day or two, and then it's get hot again.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, come here real quick. You want to say hi on the podcast? Come here. No? Okay,
Jack,
never mind. He doesn't want to talk.
How's Tina doing?
She's crazy as ever. Nothing's
Oh,
changed. We're still hoping for the best, but we're still there. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for whatever those 250. What was that called again? 250 something. What was those called? That was the first. I think it's the first ones of those I've ever seen. It had a little package next to it, so that's kind of cool. I'll have to research what that is. It's somebody that you know. Well, what is that, Amanda? Those 250 joules? What's a joule?
Oh, that's like when you shock someone with a cardiac monitor, it's measured in joules.
Okay. All right. Hey, don't hang up, Roscoe. Stick around.
Okay.
I'm not going to, and then we'll talk briefly after this. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you've stuck it out with us on a Friday night. Much appreciated. I like doing this live because it's not the same without you if we're not live. So thank you all very much. I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to this channel. Like I said, my goal is 5,000 before the end of the year. We are at 195 away, unless I've gotten some additional ones tonight. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen, even if I've got to buy some bots. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. Remember, subscribe to this YouTube page. It means a lot. And check out my Facebook page, Instagram. I put different stuff on everything. I mix it up a little bit. And until next week, take us out, Amanda.